Have you ever noticed that person who apologizes for everything? Like, someone bumps into them and they say sorry. They order food and apologize to the waiter. They exist in a room and somehow feel like they're taking up too much space. Or maybe you know someone who never asks for help, ever. House on fire? They'll handle it. Broken leg? They'll walk it off. Meanwhile, they're the first person to drop everything for anyone else. Here's the thing. These aren't just quirky personality traits. They're survival patterns carved into someone's nervous system, usually long before they could tie their shoes. If childhood was a battlefield of neglect, chaos, criticism, instability, the adult that emerges carries invisible armor. And today, we're decoding exactly what that armor looks like, because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
First, there's the hyper-independent type. This is the person who learned early that asking for help either gets you ignored or gets you hurt, so they stopped asking. They became the kid who figured it out alone. Homework, dinner, emotional regulation, all of it. Fast forward to adulthood, and they're the friend who never burdens anyone, never leans on anyone, never lets their guard down. Sounds strong, right? Except it's exhausting, because deep down they equate needing someone with being weak or abandoned. Psychologically, it's called counterdependency, a defense mechanism where you reject intimacy before it can reject you. And the cruel irony? They often attract people who need them, which just reinforces the pattern. Maybe that's you. Maybe you've been holding it together so long you forgot what it feels like to let someone else carry the weight.
Then there's the people pleaser, the one who morphed into a human thermometer, constantly reading the room, adjusting their personality to keep the peace. In childhood, their safety depended on keeping a volatile parent calm or staying invisible to avoid conflict, so they learned to shrink, to soothe, to perform. Now, as adults, they can't say no without feeling like they've committed a crime. They over-apologize, over-explain, and live in quiet resentment because their needs always last. The psychology here is fawn response, one of the 4 trauma responses, right alongside fight, flight, and freeze. When you can't fight or run, you charm your way to survival. The problem is, once the danger's gone, the behavior stays. You're still fawning to people who don't deserve it, still bending until you break. Sound familiar? You might be smiling and nodding your way through life while your soul is screaming for a break. But here's the twist. Not everyone becomes soft. Some people became the opposite. They're the ones with walls so high you'd need a ladder and a permit just to say the low. Emotionally unavailable, skeptical of affection, quick to distance when things get too close. Childhood taught them that people leave, people lie, people hurt, so they built a fortress. It's called avoidant attachment, and it's not cold-heartedness, it's self-preservation. If you never let anyone in, they can never destroy you. The issue? It's lonely in that fortress, and the people who care about them bounce off those walls, thinking they're unwanted, when really the person inside is terrified of being seen and then discarded. Maybe you've built those walls yourself. Maybe you ghost people the second they start to matter, because vulnerability feels like handing someone a loaded gun. And then there's the hypervigilant overachiever, the person who equates rest with failure, who's always moving, always producing, because standing still feels dangerous. In childhood, maybe love was conditional, tied to grades, behavior, and usefulness. So they learned that their worth isn't inherent, it's earned. Now they work themselves into the ground, excel at everything, and still feel like they're falling short. It's called achievement-based self-worth, and it's a treadmill with no finish line. Psychologically, they're running from the belief that if they stop being impressive, they stop being lovable. Burnout becomes a badge of honor, exhaustion is the baseline, and compliments? They don't land, because internally they're thinking, if you really knew me, you'd see I'm a fraud. Recognize yourself there? You might be sprinting just to feel like you deserve to exist. So which type fits you? Or maybe you're a mix of a people-pleasing overachiever with avoidant tendencies and a hyper-independent streak. That's the thing about surviving a tough childhood. You become a mosaic of coping mechanisms, each one designed to keep you alive, even if they're now keeping you stuck. The good news? Awareness is the first crack in the armor. Once you see the pattern, you can start to unravel it. You can learn that asking for help isn't a weakness, that saying no isn't cruelty, that being vulnerable won't destroy you. Childhood shaped you, but it doesn't have to script the rest of your story. Drop a comment. Which type hit home for you? And if this landed, subscribe, because we're just getting started unpacking the hidden psychology behind how we survive, how we cope, and how we heal.